Welcome to Think About It with your host, Jaden Miller.
Welcome to Think About It with Jaden Miller. I am your host, Jaden Miller. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I decided to take a week off for Thanksgiving just to get my mind together, to recoup, relax, hang out with my beautiful wife, and just, enjoy that time together. So I've been out for a week, and like I said, I've enjoyed it just being away, but I have missed you guys. And so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Don't forget that I am on all of those podcast platforms as well. And so please like and comment and follow me on those as well. I'm on all of them: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Castbox, SoundCloud, all of those, iHeartRadio, so many more. So again, feel free to listen on your favorite podcast platform. But I'm not shy. Feel free to check me out on YouTube as well. So today I'm going to talk about the aftermath of the Ahmaud Arbery case. In my Think About It with Jaden Miller studio, and you can see her in the background. That's my beautiful wife, Tanisha. So she is here with me as well as usual. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the Ahmaud Arbery case and a little bit about the aftermath of that. As you all know, this was a shocking case. It was a very, very tragic case of a young African American man that was jogging in a neighborhood not too far from where his mother lived. He was murdered in a little community called Satia Shores, and it is a neighborhood in Brunswick, which is in Glenn County, Georgia. Ahmaud Arbery was a 25-year-old black man, and as I mentioned, he was simply jogging through a neighborhood in that area when he encountered three individuals. And of course, for those of you that have been keeping up with this case, the situation surrounding that ended up tragic. Certainly in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, but now in the loss of freedom for the three perpetrators: George Mcmichael, Travis Mcmichael, would have been his son, and then a neighbor, William, they call him Roddy Bryan, who was a neighbor of the Mcmichaels. So I think I want to first start off by just letting my listeners know, those of you know, that jogging while black is a thing, okay? Just like driving while black is a thing. You all have seen videos of African Americans having a barbecue in a community, and they call them Karens. We'll call the police. There was a situation of a little black girl who had a lemonade stand, and someone called the police on her. These are very, very serious issues that still pop up here in the land of the home of the free and the land of the brave. What did I say that one? The land of the brave and the home of the free. These are things that still pop up from time to time in these United States of America. So I don't want anyone to be, without any doubt that these things do happen, and they are tragic. We still, for some people, still live in two Americas, one white and one for the rest of us, people of color. We still live in a land where there is this belief that there is a thing called white privilege, and then when you're black or brown, that you have to prove your innocence instead of being believed initially. And so it's still a sad state when it comes to the criminal justice system in the United States of America. There's still this belief that black people, brown people are criminals, and that if you were white, you get the benefit of the doubt. And I think that we've, especially in this day and age, should be able to clearly see that criminal activity is colorblind, and that if you're going to commit a crime, regardless of your race, you're going to commit that crime. All right. So we've seen many instances of fraudulent acts and criminal acts perpetrated by white men, white women. We've seen plenty of criminal acts perpetrated by blacks and Latinos and Asians. And so crime, is not something that is dictated by your race. All right. And, it would be really, really ignorant for someone to say that, one race is, more privy to commit crimes than other races. That's just dumb. Okay. And those that believe in that, well, I wouldn't buy anything from them, because they'll try to sell you a bridge in a place where one is not needed. So Ahmaud Arbery now is jogging through this neighborhood in Brunswick, minding his own business. He stops for a little bit in a house that is under construction. Now, this house has no doors, it has no windows. And out of his curiosity, he stops to check it out. All right. Now, some people would like to think that, well, that's trespassing. Well, no. Especially if there are no signs posted and the house is under construction and it's open. There's no gates or fencing around it. See, when you create a boundary around something, then you clearly delineate that this is an area that you don't want any other people to go into. All right. Well, when you don't do that, it's not trespassing. Actually, in some ways, it could be seen as negligence, because you should secure those areas that you may not want anybody to go into. All right. But I want you to think about it for a minute, because this is a think about it show. You're out jogging and you see a home under construction. I know I've done this many times, and you'll stop and you want to check it out, and you might walk onto the property, not thinking, of course, not to steal anything or to take anything or anything like that. You just want to see what the progress is. You want to look around and think to yourself like, hey, you know what, this would be a great place for the kitchen, or this would be a great place for a family room. All right. We've done that many times. We naturally are curious as human beings. So we'll walk and we'll look and say, hey, what about that? Or we'll take a look at this. But it seems, especially in this case, that when you're an African American man and you want to check stuff out, that seems to be a problem. Okay. One of the problems that this nation continues to deal with is the fact that we always want to deny that race is an issue. It is an issue. Okay. In all cases, no. But in many cases, it is an issue. Why? Because as a nation, we have still not dealt with the issue of race. Oh, we skirt around it. We may mention a few little things, or we may talk about a few little things, with our friends or with our family members. But as a nation, okay, we have not dealt with the aftermath, okay, of what our founding fathers allowed to happen in this country. We still haven't dealt with it 200 and almost 35 years after the founding of this nation. We still skirt around the issue. We believe that it does not exist until there are cases like this that once again bring to light that these things happen. Here, I'll just make it very plain. All right. If Ahmaud Arbery was a white man, okay, and he was jogging in Satilla Shores, all right, in Brunswick, Georgia, this would have never happened. Plain and simple, okay? Now, you can think about it and you can debate me. You can say, oh, that's not true. But as an African-American person, okay, who has seen these things happen many, many, many times before. This Ahmaud Arbery case is not new, okay? There's George Floyd. There's so many others, okay? And we keep bringing them to light, or they keep getting brought to light because this nation still has not dealt with the awful, awful sting, the awful, awful blemish of slavery and denying a certain segment of society their human rights. Okay, so we still as a nation have not dealt with the indigenous people. Okay, we still are front to them every single day. Okay, when we look at them and that many of them live on reservations, and that they struggle, that's all because their land was taken away. I mean, we still haven't dealt with that. Okay, we look at Latinos down on the southwest border. We still are dealing with, considering them less than because they want to leave someplace to come to someplace better, not to get a handout, but to start new. All right. There weren't complaints when people were crossing the Atlantic Ocean and coming in through New York, Ellis Island, from Europe. All right. See, the issues weren't the same. These people are trying to come into this nation. Okay. We're still dealing with the fact that this nation denied and horribly treated Chinese, Koreans, Japanese. Okay. All right. So as long as this country continues to deny, the fact, that we are not one nation, but that we are one nation in name, yet continuously denying the rights, the human rights and human dignity to people of color, we're never, ever, ever going to really be the greatest nation on the earth. We can believe that, all right? But are we, when we still have these issues and these cases that come forward? All right. So Ahmaud Arbery, he's jogging. He stops, looks at a construction site. Now, then there are three men that live in the neighborhood that see him, okay? As I mentioned, one of them is Gregory Mcmichael. He's a 64-year-old. He's a previous police officer, all right? He was an investigator for the Brunswick Judicial Circuit District Attorney's Office. So he has some law enforcement background. He worked for the Glenn County Police Department. There's his son, Travis Mcmichael, okay? He was a former U.S. Coast Guard mechanic and had some training in law enforcement. And then there's William Roddy Bryant, who was a neighbor, all right? So they see him jogging, all right? And they begin to follow him in their vehicles, all right? There's a video that's been taken by William Roddy Bryant. And, I want to talk about this video for a second. So what a lot of people don't realize is that Ahmaud Arbery was killed in February of 2020. But this case did not really come to the attention, of the public until about May of 2020. All right. So for 2 months, February through April, all right, these men that killed him, Mr. Mcmichael, the son and the father, and then Mr. Bryant, they were living scot-free. Yep, they had killed the person, but they were saying that, well, this was self-defense. Okay? Self-defense. All right? So there's no video. All right? Mr. Roddy, who took the video, never mentions that there's a video to the police. All right? Okay? But surprisingly, the video appears. And then the video is shown on a local station, which then it becomes viral. So YouTube picks it up, and then TMZ picks it up. And it clearly shows a confrontation, by the unarmed Ahmaud Arbery. And let me make sure I make that clear, that he was unarmed, all right? And then you have Travis Mcmichael, the son, with a shotgun. His father, Gregory Mcmichael, with a handgun. And then you have William Roddy Bryant in his car, preventing Mr. Aubry from being able to move from place to place, to leave the area. Okay? All right. It's a lot of firepower for some person for that isn't armed. All right. They call him over. He refuses. All right. He doesn't know who these three people are. And sometimes people forget, that in the United States of America, we do not have to talk to people. So just because there are three white men in a truck, or two in the truck and one in the car, tell me to come over to them, I don't have to come over to them. Okay, I can keep going. All right. See, there's no racial superiority. Some people like to think there is, but just because someone white tells me, a black person that's jogging through a neighborhood, hey, come over here, I don't have to come to you. Okay, now you can take affront to that, but that's your problem. All right. If I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going. He wanted to keep jogging. Now you're blocking him. Okay, denying him his constitutional right to move freely in this country. Okay, you're denying him that. All right, which is why the federal government has now also charged them, and I'll get to their verdicts in just a moment. All right, but just because you have a shotgun or a gun in your hand does not mean that you have authority over someone. All right. They believe that he may have committed a crime. Okay, so then if you do so, then what you do is you call the police, 911, to train people, and they'll come. The police in this incident were only seconds away. All you have to do is call 911. I've got a description of the person. You could have even followed him in your vehicle. He's wearing this. He's got on this color shirt. He's got on this color jogging pants. I'm following him from a safe distance in my vehicle. But that's not what happened. You wanted to confront him, okay? And then because he decided that with shotguns and guns in hand, hey, I'm in fear of my life, I'm going to struggle with you. And that's what you see in this video, okay? You see Travis Mcmichael and you see Mr. Aubry. They're grappling over the shotgun. Well, hey, if you're in fear of your life, you need to defend yourself. Okay, these men are talking about, well, we were in defense of ourselves. Why does it take three men to defend themselves against one? One has a shotgun, one has a pistol. All right, isn't that enough? I'm just asking, think about it. Is that not enough? All right, okay, you could have kept him at bay. You could have said, hey, the police are on their way. We don't mean to harm you. We just want to make sure that you're not committing some crime. See, that's the moral thing to do. Okay. All right. But when you want to act all bad, okay, with your shotguns and your handguns and confront somebody, see, all you're asking for is trouble. All right. And so black people in this country get upset with that because, see, again, you're not given the benefit of the doubt. You're already assumed to be, okay, a criminal. All right. So that's why we grapple with this. That's why we struggle with this. And see, in this case, again, the authorities considered this case closed for the most part. All right. Simply because Ahmaud Arbery is dead. All right. And you have three white men that say, well, this is what happened. Okay. And so the police then take their word. The district attorney's office then takes their word. Okay. So again, I asked the question. All right. And I ask you to think about it. If three black men, two armed, one in a vehicle, blocking a white man from moving freely through a community, and then they kill him, do you think honestly, okay, that it would take 2 to 3 months for criminal charges to come forward? Now, if you can answer that question honestly, then thank you. You do now understand that racism still exists in this nation. Okay, you do, right? Because if you think otherwise, then something's wrong with you. Okay, simply put, maybe you've lived under a rock. I don't know what it is. Maybe you've been in the submarine for the last 50 years. I don't know. All right, but that is a fact. All right. So they grapple, they struggle, and then Ahmaud Arbery is shot 3 times. Okay. Once in the chest, once in the middle chest, and then once in his wrist. All right. So now let's look at that for a minute. All right. He gets shot. One shot is fired into his chest. Now, he's still trying to grab the shotgun because he does not want to get shot again. Okay? Now, some people will think, oh, well, he's shot. Now he wants to grab the shotgun so he can shoot you back. Okay, so then what would be the problem with that? So if someone shoots me, all right, and then I want to grab your gun so I can stop you or shoot you back so that you can't kill me, possibly, is there a problem with that? So there's a problem. There's a problem with a black man running through a neighborhood, okay? But then there's no problem, when the white men confront him, but then there is a problem, okay, when he grabs a gun and says, okay, I don't want you to shoot me another time. But then you shoot me another time, and then you shoot me another time, and now I'm dead. But that's a problem because I was looking at a house, okay, just checking it out, all right? The police, the owner says there was no trespassing. He was just looking at the house. All right. So there's no crime. They talk about there had been previous criminal activity in the neighborhood. But the police say no, not like they described. All right. There had been no reported incidents, nothing. So when these men are being questioned by the police, they're saying that there's all kinds of crime that's been happening in the area attributed to a tall, skinny black man. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard that? All right. How many times have we heard that? So let's talk about his wounds. All right. So remember, he died as a result of 3 gunshot wounds. One gunshot wound to the upper left chest. All right. So upper left chest is where your heart is. All right. One good gunshot wound to the lower middle chest. That's just above or in the area of your kidneys. Okay. And then one gunshot caused a deep, gaping graze wound to the right wrist. All right. Shot 3 times. 3 times. One of the things that people try to do when this case came forward is to talk about Ahmaud Arbery and his criminal background, which always happens, okay, when there's a suspect. And it's really, it really makes it worse because you have a black suspect who now becomes a black victim, okay? See, in your mind, he's a suspect. Then you realize once circumstances come out that this person is a victim. But now you want to take the victim of 3 gunshot wounds and victimize his family now. By doing what? By bringing up his past. All right, so let's talk about his past. All right. So he was known for his sense of humor and big heart. He graduated from Brunswick High School, where he was a football star. He was a linebacker. Okay. He attended South Georgia Technical College. Okay. He was training as a career to be an electrician, which might have been the reason why he stopped at that house, okay, to look around just to see, wow, I would run electricity this way, or I would run electricity that way, okay? Well, he paused his studies to save money by working in his father's car wash and landscaping business and had plans to be re-enrolled, okay? But, so yes, while he was at a high school football game in 2013, he was caught carrying a gun. Yeah, he was. All right. Now, there are people that will say, well, see, there he is, caught carrying a gun. But I thought we had Second Amendment rights. And I know the religious right and people that are conservatives love guns. They carry guns all the time. Okay. The NRA believes that we all should have the right to carry guns, that there should be no restrictions. Okay, so now he's carrying a gun. But that's a problem now. See, is it a problem for black people to carry guns, but not for white people to carry guns? Or are we going to be fair and equitable in that the Second Amendment applies to everybody? All right. So some people tried to bring that up. Oh, well, he was on probation because he was carrying a gun to a high school football game. And I'm not saying that you should carry a gun to a high school football game. I'm saying that there's a problem with him carrying a gun, okay? And then there was an attempted shoplifting in 2017. All right. So now, are these things that he should not have done? Absolutely. But do they rise to the level of, okay, well, because he's had this in his past, that so now as a victim, he should be looked down on? How many of you all have been involved in criminal acts that you have not, that have not been reported or have not been found out about? How many of you all are carrying around this guilt? You know, how many have used drugs illegally? Okay. At home with your friends. Okay. How many have taken something out of a store that you shouldn't have taken out of a store? Okay. So for those that listen that are religious, I'm just want to remind you of this story. Okay. Because Jesus told it so eloquently, you know. So there's a woman who's about to be stoned by a group of men. Okay, what is her crime? Her crime is she engaged in adultery. All right. Well, of course, that was against Jewish law, of course. But see, Jesus wanted them to reflect on their own selves. Okay, he wanted them to reflect and say, you know what? Before we stone this person, let's take a look at our own selves. Okay. What have you done? Okay, before you stone her, because should you be stoned? All right. So he began writing in the dirt while they're thinking about, oh, okay, well, we need to stone this woman. Okay. And he asked each and every one of them. Y'all know what he asked them. He who is without sin cast the first stone. Okay. All right. See, it's so easy to be a hypocrite. It's so easy to say, okay, well, you know what? Such and such did this, but then forget about the stuff that you've done. All right. And so when all of those hypocrites started walking away shamefully, which they should have, all right, he tells the woman, go and sin no more, because none of us are perfect. All right. And sometimes we make mistakes. And sometimes we do things we shouldn't do. All right. But then should we be murdered for them is the question. All right. So should she have been stoned to death? Because there's no mention in there about the man she was with. All right. So does he get away scot-free? All right. Oh, it's acceptable for him, but not acceptable for her. All right. So Ahmaud Arbery did some things that he shouldn't have done. Okay. But then Gregory Mcmichael, Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan did some things that day they shouldn't have done as well. So when this case now becomes national, because his mother keeps bringing it out. Okay. See, during those 2 months, his mother's not sitting in some corner, you know, just wailing about her son. She's not whining and crying. She's not in just total grief. Okay. She's saying, oh, wait a minute. Something needs to be done about this. So she's going to national. She's going to media personalities and celebrities, civil rights leaders saying, hey, there is something wrong with this case. And now this case becomes national just because the video. All right. Now, what if William Roddy Bryan had not taken that video that day? Imagine. There's no video evidence. None. It's these men's word against the dead man. Who would have prevailed? Whose word would have prevailed? It's unfortunate. Well, maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe it is still fortunate, but it's a good thing that William Bryan took the video. Now, it also sealed his fate too, because he's on his way to prison. He was convicted along with these other two, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But what if there wouldn't have been video evidence? What if his mother wouldn't have kept getting on, you know, the authorities? But she did. And the video, that said a lot. That said a lot. And even when the video comes out, the very, very conservative governor of Georgia says, I need the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to report this. All right. William Bryan, the neighbor of the McMichaels who shot Ahmaud, he said in his testimony when he was giving a statement to the police that they made that the father-son made racial comments about Ahmaud. William Bryan said that Travis McMichael used a racist slur while standing over Aubrey's body. And that racist slur was fucking nigger. See, if this case is not about race, why does anybody even still need to use that word? It says that during the hearing, all right, the lead prosecutor disclosed that Aubrey's palm print had been found on the side of Bryan's truck, and texts taken from Bryan's cell phone were replete with racist remarks. But they were in fear of their lives from an unarmed black man. They were defending their community. Okay. So it wasn't self-defense by Mr. McMichael. It was self-defense by Mr. Aubry. Okay. He was pursued. He ran until he couldn't run anymore. And he had a choice. Turn his back to a man with a shotgun or fight with his bare hands against a man with a shotgun, and he chose to fight. Look at that. Look at his options. Look at those options. All right, so evidence was provided by the state. And then, of course, his defense team came up with their arguments. And then the jury, which consisted of 11 white jurors and 1 black juror, came back after 12 hours of deliberation over the course of 2 days with guilty verdicts for all 3 men. All right. So McMichaels and Bryan faced mandatory sentences of life imprisonment. All right. The prosecution did not seek the death penalty in the case. All right. But even if the possibility of parole was granted to them, they would still need to serve 30 years before becoming eligible. So you've got William Bryan, who's 50, so 30 years, he'll be 80. Gregory Mcmichael, who was 64, in 30 years, he would be 94. And Travis McMichael, I believe, is 30-something, 36 maybe, 34. Well, in 30 years, he'd be his father's age now. So that's a lengthy amount of time, even if they were granted parole. All right. But the jury did come back with a conviction against these individuals. So now it does show that when evidence is provided, but in this case specifically, video evidence, all right, and the use of undue power, okay, over one person, all right, the jury came back with a fair verdict. They were attempting to state that they were making citizens arrest, Mr. McMichael, the McMichaels and Mr. Bryan. This case was so severe that the Georgia legislature repealed the citizens arrest law. Okay, it was something that went all the way back to the Civil War era. Okay, and so they repealed it and passed the legislation that only allowed certain individuals, okay, to place a citizen's arrest. And that would be like licensed private detectives, security guards, shopkeepers, and restaurant employees, okay? They could conduct arrest under specific circumstances, okay? Then Georgia also didn't have a hate crimes law, all right? Well, because of this incident, there is now a new hate crimes law in the state of Georgia. And so as a result of Ahmaud Arbery's death, there has been some good. But I want you to think about it now. Think about his poor mother, all right? Yes, all of this good stuff has happened, all right, but at the expense of her son. So you had these vigilantes, a posse, who performed a modern lynching in the middle of the day and for 2 months got away with it. And if the video would not have come forward, they would have gotten away with this crime, which I believe has happened many, many, many times before. So what have we learned about this case? What are the takeaways from the Ahmaud Arbery case? Well, the criminal justice system really handled this case wrong. They tried to turn the guys free and say that they were within their rights to do this until further investigation came forth. Sometimes it's very difficult to hold people accountable in our criminal justice system when they aren't the color of Ahmaud Arbery. All right. I don't think people should miss the fact that there was a trial and that there was a verdict. But it was very, very hard to get there in this particular case. I think we should be under no delusion that racial profiling, whether you're driving while black or jogging while black, it still exists for people of color in this country every single day. Whether you're at school and you're a black child and somebody did something in class and the teacher automatically suspects you, or whether you're driving in a neighborhood where a crime has been committed and the police can see that you're African American or Latino driving through that community, and you just let them be driving through it, and then you're stopped automatically because, why is a black person driving through this neighborhood at this time of day? Okay. We think often that we've come very far as a nation. We've come far, but there's still so many strides in terms of securing racial justice that still needs to happen. All right. Here's a question I want you to think about. How much did race play a role in both the events leading up to the killing of Aubry and how the trial was conducted? All right. Well, again, there are so many people, even still today, all right, that were racially conditioned to view black people as inferior. Still today, okay? There are still a lot of people that have a lot of work to overcome these beliefs, but they are still prevalent. And as African Americans and Latinos, and others, we hear them. They're subtle, we hear them. We can see them in facial expressions. We can see them in actions. We can see them in how you speak to people. I think people of color have a sixth sense for when they're being treated wrong simply because of their race. Not all of us, but many of us do. Many of us miss it, and then we're victimized. But there are many of us that see it right away, okay? So we still have a long way to go, all right? This case would have never come forward if Mr. Bryant had not recorded it. It would have never been in court. Never. This case would have never gotten to court. So you would have had 3 men who would have gotten away with it and unjustified intentional murder. All right. So as a nation, as a people, we have so much more to do. All right. We can rest in the joy of this conviction, the conviction of these three men, but we can't rest in that joy for very long. Okay. Because there will be another Ahmaud Arbery. There will be other cases that come forward that still show that we in the United States of America have so much more to learn, so much more to do in the area of something that many other parts of the world have conquered hundreds of years ago. And this is it. It's simply, okay, that we have a problem with the color of someone's skin. We still do. And that is still unfortunate. And we still have so far to go. All right, this is Jaden Miller. Thank you guys for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. So you can disagree with me, leave a comment, as long as it's respectful. But leave a comment, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are. If you disagree with me intelligently. Don't disagree just based on, my mama said, or my daddy said, because I'm not going to even pay attention to that. All right. But if you have a disagreement, let's do so logically. Okay. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the evidence and do so logically, not on emotions and all of that kind of stuff. Let's just look at it. Okay. We can look at the history of this nation, and I can pull for you untold amount of times when black men or black women or any other race has been mistreated, okay, by citizens, by the government, victimized over and over and over again. All right. So if you're going to come from me logically, because I got something for you. All right. Again, this is Jaden Miller. Thank you for listening to Think About It with me, Jaden Miller. I'll see you next time. Don't forget, we drop new episodes on Sundays and Wednesdays. All right. I'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.